Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
All right. Hello, everyone. It is indeed the Entrepreneurial You podcast, and I am your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter. Now, it's interesting because last week we had a very interesting episode where we were talking with Jarrod Best-Mithcell. He's a successful sales practitioner in the B2B and the B2C sales area for companies such as Microsoft, Samsung, Digicel, and a host of other companies. Now, this week, we are talking with someone who has embraced the philosophy of Kaizen, right? That principle of excellent, that relentless pursuit of excellence. That's what he's all about. But before we get into that conversation and introduce him and all of that jazz, let's take a moment to hear from our valued partners at the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mafood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
My guest today is the visionary force behind the Digicel global group of companies. His influence extends beyond boardrooms and corporate landscapes. He's a thought leader and sought-after consultant, leveraging his profound expertise in communications, business dynamics, digital transformation, and leadership strategies. His insights have resonated with audiences across the globe, having delivered captivating presentations on these subjects across 4 continents, totaling an impressive 200 plus engagements. Wow. His journey has earned him prominent features in publications such as Forbes, the Jamaica Gleaner, the Jamaica Observer, and Loop Caribbean. He holds membership in several professional organizations, including Forbes Business Council, a distinguished platform for top-tier entrepreneurs and executives. Let's make welcome Kemal Brown. Welcome back, Kemal, to the Entrepreneurial You podcast.
Happy to be here, Heneka. Thanks for having me once again.
Awesome. I remember when we just started, I think you were episode 2 or 3 or somewhere around that number.
I was one of the Genesis people.
Yeah, right? And here we are, 330 odd episodes later. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about leadership, digital transformation, and global dynamics with, of course, Kemal Brown. But before we get into the meat of the matter, as we say, so if you could kind of capture, the essence of your leadership philosophy into one piece of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs and executives, what would that be?
My leadership philosophy. Leadership is such a diverse and duplicitous concept. But if I was to distill the thing that has made me, I think, an effective leader is to keep my word and keep my commitments. Keep my word and keep my commitments. Don't say anything out of your mouth if you're not going to deliver on it. And it has led to, one, my personal brand being known for that. So I'm the person that delivers. I get it done if I say I'm going to get it done on time, within budget. And it means the same to my team, right? So if I say I'm going to do something, I keep my word. So, you build a brand of trust. And I think trust is key to all aspects of business.
Absolutely. It's all about, as that triple combo of, knowing you, liking you, and trusting you.
Indeed.
And I think you've established that over the years of your both your leadership and your entrepreneurship journey. So as we're talking about the journey, we're segueing to that. Just kind of share a bit about how it led you, all of that led you to the formation of Digicel Global Group of Companies. What happened?
Sure. I mean, it's a long story, but I'll try to be concise just because of time. I know I was a little tardy today. So essentially, Digicel sprung from an observation. At least the marketing company was the first out of the group. It sprung from an observation that things just weren't being done to the level that I thought they could be done in terms of how we were doing digital advertising in the Caribbean. And I wanted to, one, deliver results, which is a big thing, but two, kind of change and have a more international look and feel in terms of the aesthetics and in terms of the varied approaches, right? Just kind of both modernizing, but at the same time, streamlining how digital was done. And that's where DGM was birthed. As you know, I started the company with about $300 at the time, 45,000 Jamaican. Since then, we've generated probably somewhere around like 550 million, 600 million, somewhere around there in terms of revenue. Clearly, that was a big jump off. It really began, with me as a speaker. I'm a speaker, as international speaker. And the more I spoke, the more I became confident in my digital skills and honed and trained my skills. And the more I studied and, just kind of filled my head with the knowledge necessary to be able to deploy at a certain level. And then, so the marketing company was there. DGM is still there. DGM is about 30 persons strong now. And
congrats. Let me pause to say congratulations right there.
Oh, many thanks. It's been a journey, right? But it's just the beginning of the journey, to be honest. It took a long time because we bootstrapped it, right? But so we're doing our thing on that side. But then in 2018, so Digicel started in 2016. In 2018, I was at a friend's games night and they were playing Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow. And it just made sense to me. The game just made sense to me. And a large part of the game was real estate. So I said to myself, at this time I was big in equities. As a young person, they say at the time I was like 20. What was that? 26, somewhere around it, 26. And they said you should always have a proportion. Your age should be proportional to your investment habits or style. So if you're 26, you should have, 74% of your assets in stocks. And the rest you can do whatever, right? Use your age. You divide your age by 100 and you use that as a percentage. The matrices to kind of decide how you invest. But at the time, I was following that. So I was heavy in equities, heavy in savings, had a few bonds. But I said to myself, wow, this real estate thing, this thing makes sense. I mean, all you got to do is cover the cash flow, just have a little cash flow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I bought my first property in 2018. And subsequent to that, I started reading. One thing with me, I'm a maximizer, right? So I try to understand everything I'm doing intimately and deeply. And so I studied, I realized that, okay, real estate is how most millionaires are made in the world. And I kind of doubled down and I bought a property or two properties every year since then. Currently, we have a portfolio that is international. We have about 20 doors. And we have property in Brazil, Panama, and Jamaica. So the property company started in 2018 when I realized, I shouldn't just buy this, but I should put it in something's name and kind of build an asset base for future use. And that's what I did after that. The venture company, Digital Ventures, came a little bit after that, which is when I realized, I have a real deep interest in PE, private equity, and I want to see how I can play a role as well. Because clearly, if I was able to build one successful company, not only can I build others, but also have the lessons to see the potential for those that can build and invest in a very strategic way. So the private equity company, and it's kind of a VC/private equity, Digital Ventures. It really does look for founders that have my type of temperament, personality, and go-getting attitude. Because I believe once you have the right attitude, you cannot. Only death can stop you. Right? You're gonna win. You're gonna win eventually. Once you pick an industry that is success aligned. And what I mean by that is clearly traditional marketing is on the decline. So clearly you need to be looking more towards digital. So if you're just in that one instance, for example, you're doing construction in Jamaica right now, residential is a bit overloaded. You need to be looking commercial. And so once you're kind of pointed in a direction that makes sense based on historic data and current trends, you'll be all right. Digital Finance, that company is upcoming. We haven't formally launched it yet, but it's our microfinance digitally focused microfinance entity using digital KYC and a lot of different technologies to kind of streamline that process. And that's a microfinance entity that we're going to get off the ground relatively soon. And of course, then there's Digital Foundation, which is the philanthropic arm of the group. And under digital global marketing, we have two initiatives that we're launching soon called Enigma and Studio D. Combined, they're called the Creative Collective. And what one is, it's a co-working space, hyper modern, the best in Jamaica. Everything I do is about excellence, so it's going to be the best one in Jamaica when it launches. And then the production studio, side by side, so you can ideate on the left and then go create on the right. And that's the concept for that. So clearly, we have a lot going on. And then the group came about. The group is a St. Lucia-based IBC, so it's a holding company. The group came about because I realized, once again, I was at the time talking to a lot of accountants and seeking ways to, be tax efficient. And so I realized that, having an international business company was the way forward in terms of just structuring my assets for both, passing on to my kids when I have them. At present, I only have a puppy. She's a dog now, but, planning so that when I pass, which is the only sure investment that I'm going to die, it can be passed on in a tax efficient way, in a way that maximizes my offspring's capacity to leverage my assets into growing and making more assets. So that's what the group is about. Really, it's a holding company, and then it kind of oversees through shared services the rest of the portfolio companies. So in terms of how it was, how I did all of this, really great dedication to learning and just not taking no for an answer, right? When it comes to pursuing goals, finding the path can change, but the goal must be fixed and only expandable. Never pull back on the goal, expand on the goal. Once you set smart goals and goals that are smart to you, more important, because it might not seem smart to others, but it's smart to you. So I think that's a mouthful. I hope I answered your question.
Listen to me, Kemal. Let me tell you something. I mean, let me tell our listeners, I turned my camera off just because I'm trying to save the whole bandwidth thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm completely blown away. I mean, it's been so long since I've caught up with you. Like, I have no idea that you had all of these things going on. But one thing for sure, though, I mean, I'm completely blown away. Let me just say that, right? Blown away. I'm in awe of you. And I remember at the onset, I was just around in that, early time when you started, or a little bit into when you started, and you are already doing great. And now to hear, of the journey and what you've accomplished and where you are right now, I'm completely blown away in a very good way, of course. And that's thrown off the track all the questions I wanted to ask. And I'm going to wheel and come again and just, dive into what you've said. I don't even know where to start because it's indeed a mouthful. It is indeed commendable. All I can say, I remember seeing a newsletter from your company recently. And the only thing that came to mind, I smell an IPO coming. Yeah. And I'm going there. I'm going there right now. I know you all tell me, oh, I can't tell you that. I can't say much. But I have to put it out there. Again, I smell an IPO coming. Respond to that.
So things happen in the sequence that they need to happen in. And I'll leave.
That's all you're going to give me, Kemal?
I mean, things happen in the sequence that need to happen. I mean, logically, as a founder, and this is something where IPOs are concerned, that I think we're completely flawed in terms of our mindset in the Caribbean, right? So people look at IPOs as, let me get rich. The retail people.
Like we who buy retail, we just kind of want rings them.
If DGM doesn't, we're doing two things. One, I'm exiting halfway as a founder. I tell people this all the time. So meaning I'm selling half of my shares, and selling, and DGM, what do you call it? So essentially, say you raise 500 million. I'll be selling 250 to raise money for DGM's expansion and selling 250 to myself. So that capital comes to me directly because I still own 100% of everything to fund further expansion. Now, people don't like that. They say, boy, it looks like you're taking money out of the firm. No, I'm exiting as a founder that has worked almost a decade in the pain and agony of running a business, because that's really what it is.
You paid your dues, actually.
Oh, yeah, man. I've done it, and I built it organically. We have no debt. We have no investors. We have no private equity investors. It's all been grit, prudent financial management, and just ensuring that, we grow and scale intelligently. I don't believe in, putting the cart before the horse. I believe in, take your time, build, be prudent. I'm big on delayed gratification because I think it is still a gratification. It's just delayed. And matter of fact, it's better down the line. So, clearly we plan to exit in some way, shape, or form. If IPO is what's going on, definitely we're going to use that as a launch pad for both DGM and the rest of the group. Because what I'll do is pull out Elon Musk. Now, if I do raise the 500, I'm taking 250, 100 million going in the finance company, 50 million in ventures, and another, say, 50 in, maybe 10 in the philanthropy, and then say another, say 40, 50 in the property company, maybe to buy some land or something. Because we have 2 developments actually the property company is a development company too. So we have a $1.5 billion development that we're about to get approval for. Once again,
where's that area? Can you say where is that?
That's in Kingston and St. Andrew.
Oh, thank you, Cameron. That helps a lot. But yeah, go ahead.
I don't like in trouble. And we have a commercial one. You have to leave a little mystique,
I know, right?
Press release, right? So then we have a commercial one that we're doing in Kingston and St. Andrew. So yeah, lots of plans, lots of things going on. I'm just grateful for the journey, and I feel like it's still beginning. To be honest, like I still don't feel like I'm on 1% of my potential. Just being honest,
Yeah, and I know that you are indeed you are really a very hard worker. I've seen you. You don't play. You're all about global impact, and you've managed to so far touch 4 of the continents already, and you've been speaking
5 now. I just came from Egypt and Turkey. So I gave a talk to Turkey.
Yes. Oh my God, so 5. You've touched 5 of the continents, and you are all about global impact, obviously. And it's not just about building in Jamaica, but leveraging, we are always inviting foreign direct investment into Jamaica, but you're also now looking at outward investing, right? Not necessarily in Jamaica alone. There's a little boy. He's probably 10 years old right now. And he sees his mom, because he's from a single parent home. He sees his mom kind of just, working the day's work, cleaning people's home and stuff to make ends meet. Sometimes he doesn't have food to go to bed with. He goes to his bed hungry, and he's thinking, this is all that my lot is going to be. Mm-hmm. Have a conversation with that young man for me and encourage him.
That's a lot of pressure, Heneka. My background is political science, so there's so many socioeconomic and political and psychological factors that would be affecting this young man. Mm-hmm. That being said, the only advice, which is going to be very generic, have a positive mental attitude and believe that nothing is impossible. Where you start, where you finish. I was in a quasi single parent household for half of my life, you'd call it, but more than half of my life. My dad was around, but supporting in certain ways, but not physically there in terms of because he was in Jamaica, we were in the States for that part of my life. But I grew up about 10 with my dad, right? But my fundamental thing is this: where you're planted is not necessarily where you'll stay. There's a lot of factors that would affect that young man. Clearly, education is the way. Education is the way forward. I got my master's on a scholarship, and funny enough, I didn't want to do my master's degree. I wanted to just get right into making money, right? And one of my lecturers was like, man, listen, you did well, it's free, and you get a chance to lecture. And it's also important to take advice from people that are in positions that you want to be in. Don't listen to your mom. She doesn't have the things that you want. It's just facts. Should end and begin and end at love and support. If she does not have the lessons and the competence to give you what you need in terms of taking it to the next level, right? Even into simple things like, having a good relationship. If parents have bad relations, do not listen to them for relationship advice. Only listen to people quality advice in the area that you want. And if they have the life that you want, definitely delve in and, ask advice. So, in terms of that young man, I would tell him, focus on your education. And education does not only mean school. It means instead of watching, YouTube and music videos, watch some things that can actually help you, learn how to earn, learn how to build a small business, learn how to, I used to sell snacks on campus, right? My early things were, not even on campus, when I was around 10 to help lunch money for my little sisters, I would sell chips and so on at school. This is back when I was in Miami. And if they were ever short, if my mom was ever short, I was able to help. So the thing is, it might seem small in the beginning, but what you're cultivating are habits. Problem solving. This is a problem. And even though I'm young, I have some way to kind of help solve it, right? And those skills only build and increase as you grow. And you find that eventually your mindset becomes one of, there are no problems.
A great piece of advice. And as you said, it's generic, but it starts there. And then you take those actions, those little bit of actions to cultivate the necessary mindset that would be necessary, to expand your capacity over time. Now,
attitude, mental attitude, and fight. I think one of the biggest things is, most of my opportunities when I was down and out came from having the right mental attitude, meaning just being a positive person. If somebody asks me to do something, I do it to the best of my ability, whether it is sweeping the floor, writing a paper, whatever. I go hard on just being the best and excellence. Before I found Kaizen, I was living Kaizen. And so I didn't know what Kaizen was, right? But before I found, that's why it resonated so much with me, because one thing my dad told me is, do something well or don't do it at all. And I've lived by it, right? I do it well or do not do it at all. Right?
Right. What does it take to do business globally? You have been doing business outside of Jamaica. You've been traveling the world speaking. What kind of a mental attitude does it take to do business locally?
Well, there's
internationally, rather.
Information that I used to say, I still say cognitive, like it's lodged in my cerebellum. I'm safe when the world sees me. That's what I used to say before I go on stages, like bigger stages than I was used to. I'm safe when the world sees me, right? But I think fundamentally doing business internationally is just really having a global mindset. I call the firm Digital Global from the beginning because I was never thinking local, meaning we set up operations, so we set up our system, so we set up our internal policies. It was always based on global best practices. And so we got a lot of business just by being a cut above the rest. Things like communication, basic things, responding to emails within 2 hours. That's a policy within the company. External emails are acknowledged within 2 hours. And you would have recognized that liaising with that's my chief. We are clinical. And so basic things like that, people think, oh, I'll get to it later. That's not a global attitude. A global attitude is about urgency. Time is money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Carrying yourself in a way that you'll be respected. Having a global brand presence, right? Very simple. I remember when I first started traveling to Colombia, the Colombian government used to fly me there to do matchmaking sessions, to do business with the Colombian entrepreneurs there. What they found me was SEO. My website looked like I had a huge company at the time. I only had like 10 people at the time, but it looked global. And they say, hey, we'd like to fly to Colombia. And I did, and I bought some services from the Colombia. But most, to be honest with you, it was a nice vacation, But the point of the matter is, I did this conference and do these meetings with the locals, and have some fun. But at the same time, that brand presence brought off something that I took myself serious. I kept my word. Just a lot of things amalgamate. I distilled it in the lessons of keeping your word and keeping your commitments. Because you can only respect yourself and be confident if you keep your word, and people only respect you and be confident in you if you keep your word towards them. So I think a lot of people don't understand that self-esteem is as internal as it is external. Your external activities, for example, if I agreed to do this and you didn't hear from me, that would, it would change your perception of me, but also change my perception of me. But people don't see that registering all the time. You cannot
stick up in right there, Kamal. From the very get-go, I have been I have not been focusing on a lot of local guests, and that's for the exact same reason. Like I find that a lot of local entrepreneurs will book a time and they will not show up, or they will show up. I don't know, but I wonder how it is that you're able to book an interview. You book the time, you don't have it in your calendar. Like how come? So I've actually stayed away from doing interviews with local guests predominantly because of that reason.
And that's unfortunate. So even as you know, I was coming in from so I'm now into farming. I just got 10 acres, and that's why at a meeting this morning out on the farm, and I had Cassia call you and say, hey, respectfully, give me 10, like way before the time. So I just believe in respecting people, right? You're gonna be able to keep your word. If you can't keep your word, update somebody, because I still keep your word. So I don't know. I have respect baked into me. I see I still say good morning when I see people, even though some people,
don't answer. They look at your screen like, which country you come from, right?
So I think fundamentally, and it's unfortunate that you've had that experience. I do know that we do have good young entrepreneurs and good entrepreneurs locally, but I do know that some people don't take themselves serious enough. And people might look at me, even some of my team, like, this guy's so intense. Like, why is he so serious about this keeping your word thing? And why? It's because it compounds. Like knowledge, like money, it compounds. The more you keep your word, the more confident you're going to be in your word. So when you say you're going to do something, you really start believing that nothing can stop you from doing it. And so I keep my word to be selfish, to be honest with you, but it benefits everyone.
Right. Come on, listen. We're not going to divulge everything, because guess what? You're going to be speaking at the Grow Your Wealth conference coming up on December 1 and 2. through the Learn, Grow, Invest Club. So we are going to leave some for that. But I'd want for you to share with our listeners, Kemal, what are some of the things that they can expect to hear from you at that conference for persons who will be signing up?
Sure. So, my topic is managing your money as an entrepreneur. So essentially, that's what you're going to be hearing, how to manage your money prudently. Clearly, it's coming from my philosophy. I have not taken any VC money. I've not taken on any debt. So it's going to be coming from how do you grow your business organically to scale to wherever you want it to. But in the process of that, make the right business decisions. Don't buy the Lambo right at the beginning. Don't do that.
You mean don't buy the Benz and all of that to show their friends that they've made it? What are you talking about?
Don't do that foolishness. That's foolishness. Yeah, man. Well, to each their own, right? But I'm speaking from my perspective. So I'm speaking about prudent money management. Clearly, I have toys. I have a lot of toys now, but it came from having my assets pay for toys or my assets pay for my liabilities. So there's a process through which you have to delay the gratification, and then it becomes way more gratifying towards the end. So yeah, prudent money management, when to invest, when to pay down debt, when to do this, when to do that, when to do that. And that's kind of what we're going to be speaking about. A sequence of how you, if you're starting with, I'd never like to say nothing because you're always starting with the ingenuity. If you're starting with low financial resources, how do you then take those resources that you do every time you sell or, you close a deal? How do you then allocate that capital to ensure that you're going to have capital for not only tomorrow, but for the next year? And so that's what I've done in my business. Why, DGM has never had to take on debt. We've grown organically, made cuts when necessary. And COVID came, made some cuts. You have to do what you do, but what you have to do. But at the same time, fundamentally, you have to ensure that you're prudently managing your business because most businesses fail because they run out of money, right? If you build a business by only spending what you earn and not taking on additional, clearly it's tied to the type of business, but if you spend what you earn, it's very hard to run in the red, right?
Yeah. All right, my friend Kemal Brown, I want to thank you. Digital Global Group of Companies. He is the man behind it, the engine. Such an inspiration you have been, Kemal. I really, really appreciate your time spending with us today. And I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to hearing you at the conference. They learned at the Grow Your Wealth Conference 2023 happening at the Turnover Hotel, December 1 and 2. All right. So please, Kemal, share with us how we might get in touch with you. You've inspired us. You've ignited some flames within us. Now then, how can we get in touch with you further?
Sure. Clearly, there's LinkedIn. It's Kemal Brown, Kemal Brown. And then, of course, all my different social media channels. On my Twitter, I barely post. On Instagram, it's my personal life playing with my dog and stuff. So don't look for business advice there. And me listening to music in my car. But of course, email Kemal at Digital Global, Kemal at Digital Global Group. You can just Google me. I'm all over. And you can get in touch.
Awesome. Thanks again for your time. I want to share just close out with some inspiration. So again, thank you, Kemal, for sharing your invaluable insights, your experiences with us today. It has been a pleasure. For me, it's a joy just catching up. I did not know that you've expanded into so many other areas. And that for me is inspiring. I'm kind of looking like, Heneka, what have you been doing? Like, this man has been working. No, I know, man. I know. To our listeners, we hope that you found this conversation as enlightening as I did. I really did. So don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring conversations from our thought leaders from around the globe. You know how we do. We've had our Les Browns, our Lisa Nichols, Seth Godin, and so on and so forth on the show. So until next time, I want you to stay curious and keep mastering your future. I'm Heneka Watkis-Porter, and I'm signing off. And before I go officially, though, encouraging you to visit henekawatkisporter.com or find me on social media, Heneka Watkis-Porter, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and a little bit of X, Twitter, whatever. I still say Twitter. I just can't. The X thing, no. All right. So I want you to affirm with me. The path to success is often paved with a commitment to continuous learning, adaptability, and a global mindset. As I face my challenges, I will draw inspiration from today's discussion and forge ahead with confidence in my ability to master the future, in my ability to master my future. Walk good.